Today, mother died. Just a few short words. Albert Camus' novel, The Stranger, published in 1942, begins with this single sentence. There is no grief, no exclamation. There lies merely a single, bare fact. The protagonist of this novel, Meursault, did not cry at his mother's funeral. He drank coffee, smoked a cigarette, and went to see a comedy movie with his girlfriend the very next day. And then, he committed a murder. What was the reason? The answer he offered in court was this: it was because of the son. It is absurd, ridiculous. Yet, why is it that even now, 80 years later, we still cannot put this novel down? Was Meursault truly an emotionless psychopath? Or is there something hidden within him that we have failed to see? If you read the first part of the novel carefully, Meursault is a much more human person than you might think. However, he possessed a special ability, or perhaps, a special inability. He simply did not know how to lie. He did not cry at his mother's funeral. Not because he wasn't sad, but because he felt that acting out grief was utterly meaningless. When Marie asks him, "Do you love me?" he honestly replies, "Probably not." Instead of giving the answers people want to hear, he always presents exactly what he feels. Camus called this phenomenon the absurd. The world spins while pretending to be full of meaning, but in reality, it holds no fundamental purpose. The chasm between that empty world and the human longing for meaning, that is the absurd. Meursault was a character who instinctively sensed this absurdity. Therefore, he refused to follow the proper forms of grief demanded by society. That was his crime. The second part of the novel begins, and the court opens. However, something strange happens. The prosecutor begins to cross-examine other matters far more relentlessly than the actual act of shooting. Did the defendant shed tears at his mother's funeral? Did he go to see a comedy movie with his girlfriend the next day? The court was not gathered to judge the act of murder itself. It was a place assembled to judge whether Meursault's emotions were expressed in the proper manner. His shooting was merely the backdrop of the trial. His true crime was failing to grieve as much as society expected in the face of his mother's death. Here, Camus exposes the most terrifying violence of modern society. We believe that the law punishes actions, but in reality, what society tolerates least is an emotion that deviates from the norm. One must cry at a funeral, rejoice upon promotion, and wear the exact same expression in the face of a national disaster. Anyone who steps outside that frame becomes a strange person, and sometimes, like Meursault, a dangerous human being. A priest visits Meursault in his cell after he is sentenced to death. Believe in God. Repent. There is life beyond death. But Meursault rejects all of those words. He grabs the priest by the collar and shouts, "You and I, we will both die. So why should your certainty be worth more than mine?" In this scene, Meursault finally awakens. Facing death, he is not afraid. Instead, he feels a sense of liberation. Because, for the very first time, he has become completely himself. Neither religion, social expectations, nor the gaze of others holds any power over him anymore. Accepting the absurd world exactly as it is, Camus states that this is true rebellion and freedom. Refusing to lean on false meanings that promise salvation, and locking eyes with raw reality instead. What Meursault discovered in his prison cell was precisely that cold, transparent freedom. Let's think about our daily lives today. Dinner parties where we must laugh at our boss's jokes, happy-looking photos posted on social media, and countless moments where we pretend to be sad when we are not. Every day, we naturally, and even skillfully, perform that acting of emotion that Meursault so fiercely rejected. Meursault was not executed simply because he committed a murder. The real reason he was put to death was his refusal to follow the grammar of emotion demanded by society. He was a strange person, and society did not tolerate anyone who was different. If so, we cannot help but ask, am I truly myself right now? Or am I merely acting out the role that society expects of me? The true question Camus hands to us is not something philosophical, difficult, or distant. It asks about the distance between what you truly feel and what you express in the smallest moments of your day. The stranger is not a cold monster. The stranger is, perhaps, a mirror for us all.